Hey there, Erik Haaland here with David Walters Yachts. We're going to take a tour today of my newest listing. This is a 2003 Hylas H54 named Wings. She's on the hard here at our office at Port Annapolis Marina in Annapolis, Maryland. We're going to take a pretty in-depth tour and show you all about this boat and what she has and why I think she's a great boat for you. And I can tell you what, after having gone through her already, she's in really nice shape and she's ready to go back out sailing. So without further ado, here we go. All right, well, it's a balmy 34 degrees here in Annapolis today, and everything's winterized and it's pretty chilly, but we'll go through and show you the boat. And the boat was hauled out a few weeks ago, and right now we can see the bottom has been cleaned off for winter storage. We've removed all the old anodes and have sanded down all the running gear, getting ready for the spring season. The bottom was entirely taken back in 2019 with a whole new barrier coat and new bottom job. So there's very good adhesion everywhere. Haven't seen any signs of any kind of issues. Not that I've ever seen any kind of real bottom issues with the Hylas, but the boat just looks like she's in really great shape. You can see here, there's the bottom end of the rudder attachment with the hull, and the shoe looks great. You can see where during the season she's normally prop speeded, but everything looks great. No weird pitting, no signs of any electrolysis. This is kind of, everyone always asks me, what this is here is for, why there's a little bit of a run sometimes. There's a fairing block right here. You won't see this on every Hylas because some owners just, when they do rudder service, sometimes they'll take this block out, which is right here, and they won't put it back in. But it's just a fairing block, so it's just a glassed-in piece of fairing, and eventually, you get a little bit of a weep here because really it's just a glassed-in block. That's all it is. Because the bottom end right there, you got to be able to have movement and able to drop the rudder out. So rudder looks great. Prop, take a look at up close. This is a max prop, and it's been recently serviced, so we can see she's got nice fresh grease there. We've got a rope cutter. And take a closer look here. See the everything here moves nicely back and forth. A little bit stiff because it's cold today. The grease is all cold, but she moves just fine. Shaft moves good too. The blades are nicely trimmed. There's no signs of any kind of damage on them at all. All looks nice there. And coming up to the keel, solid lead keel here, and all that looks to be in really nice shape. Yeah, front end looks good as well. And no signs of any kind of grounding or that sort of thing. Everything looks fine there. Continuing it forward here, we could see our transducers. We've got the speedo right there. We have an interface forward-looking sonar on the boat as well. So it'll be great if you're down on the islands and you're looking out for coral heads and that kind of thing when you're trying to anchor. And up front here, we can see the bow thruster. Special note on the bow thruster, it's a 24-volt thruster. Now, this is a custom upgrade done on this boat. Some of the other 54s have 24-volt thrusters too, but not all of them. So if you're looking at a Hylas 54, get one with a 24-volt thruster. It'll be really good for you. A lot more power and a lot more longevity on the stick when you're playing with it. Now, remember, the boat was just hauled. He has not had a hull detail since last winter. But you can see he still gleams. It's a little bit dirty here, a little bit dusty, but right now, got great reflection. You can see me waving right there. And the hull is going to be fully detailed here in the next few weeks as we get closer to spring. All the above waterline through hulls look great. And this is an all grit paint job, by the way. The stainless here looks like it's in great shape. There's just some streaks right now from just being in the winter. Transom has a little bit of fading, but it's not too bad. We're going to have all that polished up, actually. It should look pretty good. We'll talk more about the rest of the equipment on the transom from up on deck. And here's a view down the port side. Yeah, the auger job is still in very nice shape. Yeah, especially up here on the port bow, you see it's really nice. So yeah, quick polish job, and she will look very good for this season. All right, let's go up on deck and take a look around. Okay, we just climbed to the ladder here. We're on deck of Wings. We're going to start here on the starboard side, go aft, go up the port side to the bow, and then come back again. So starting here on the outboard side, we can see the stern pulpit has been extended all the way to the lifeline gate. Now that's an option. You could have done it Queen Long. This boat has it. And that's great because it provides this nice, sturdy stainless steel grab rail to hang on to and going forward in that. And check out the welding detail. I mean, this boat is a 2003, and look at that. There's no corrosion anywhere. The welds are just in fantastic condition. Now, special to add on here, take a look at these bars. Now, this is a jerry can holder. So this bar would rotate up like that. It's tied off here, but I'll show you on the other side how it works. But this bar would rotate up here, and you could slide jerry cans in. You probably put about 6 lined up right here on this side. So you don't have to like lash the cans down to the deck or anything like that. They have their own personal holders already built in. Now here we have our port and starboard secondary winches. Now these 4 winches are all electric, including the main sheet winch is electric as well. So you can see here the detail that, yeah, all the knurling is in great shape and is still nice and grippy. So they're great for continued use. See here we have the stainless steel port lights, all in great shape. The non-skid's really nice. It's not faded, and there's no fade through. All looks good there. All right, here we go. We're at the starboard turning block. Everything here looks to be in good shape. You do see a little bit of the typical crazy you're going to get here. Now, this is very common on Hylases of this age because of the type of gel coat. You see the gel coat still maintains its luster very well. Even for the age of the boat, there's a great bit of shine. This boat hasn't been detailed since probably 6-7 months ago. So you're going to get this because the gel coat's thicker. It's going to last longer, but you're going to get a little bit of gel coat crazy because over time, gel coat's going to get brittle. But all this looks really nice. It's in great shape. The color is really nice. We've got the propane locker right here with the regulator. Going up to the transom here, we have these great flip down teak seats right here. The teak slab seats with a stainless frame. Right now they're in the store position, but they easily come down and flip down when you want to use them and then go up and hide out away. We have this transom locker right here. This lazarette goes all the way back. It's about a 5 foot long and about 3.5 feet deep lazarette. So great amount of storage space. And there's one over on the port side as well. We see the life raft right here. Now the life raft is current through 2022. That is a current life raft certification. We have a Mom 8 man overboard device and a life ring. And this great frame here that incorporates with the davits, so we have a lot of room to install electronics, like we have here a Wi-Fi booster antenna, TrackVision M7. This is a high-definition TV, satellite TV antenna. And we have a Fleet One Sailor satellite phone as well, along with a GPS antenna right there. So we have a lot of equipment that's fully loaded. So we can see here, we have the davit system with a purchase already built in. And then down below here, we have our teak steps. And there's also another locker on the transom here for fenders or for dinghy supplies, dive gear, that kind of thing. And again, this stainless steel pulpit, it continues all the way around to the port side lifeline gate. See where the main sheet is here and the main traveler. It's all in very nice condition. See the rig. The rig is aluminum. It's been all gripped white, so it looks to be in nice shape. The canvas is all newer. You see here we have solar panels built in up top, and there is room here to install more solar if you want to, and you can pull these clips right here and disconnect the whole system if you don't want it. But it's all built in nicely, and it's pretty rigid. You can grab onto this and pull yourself around the deck. Built very, very well. This is the shore power connections right here. And then remember I mentioned that bar that holds the jerry cans. So there you go. That flips up like that. Slide all your jerry cans in, and they're not going anywhere. So you don't need to lash them down to the deck or anything like that. They're just going to sit right in there. Now, this is the Raised Salon variant of the Hylas 54, so we do have the larger windows for the salon. Here we have a stainless steel antique boarding ladder. You can move that from port to starboard, depending on which way you want to get on and off your boat. Running backstays right here, they're in the store position, and this is actually a better storage position than I've seen on other boats. Some boats, they store them right here onto the aft lower, but this has actually had its own clip-on point right here. So it's a little bit more out of the way of what you're doing around deck, and all you got to do is unclip it and take it to the transom attachment point when you're going to be using the stay sail. All right, we can see here the motor for the in-mast furling for the electric. And the other mast gear, we do have a whisker pull. We have canvas covers for the deck rails here. They're teaked, they're nicely varnished. And then moving forward, right now you'll see there's a little bit of work going on right here. We're having the Lexan replaced on the two large forward deck hatches. They were crazed and it was due for replacement. So we're having that done right now. It should be done in the next week or two. We have the stay sail furler. Now forward here we have dual anchors, windlass, and of course the general furler. And then here we have the anchor locker. Right now it's full of all the anchor supplies, dock lines, fenders. You see anchor chain down there. It's a very deep locker. There is saltwater wash down here as well. And I would show you the sail locker, which is right here, but right now it's all covered up and I don't want to break the seal to allow any snow or rain inside. I come down here on the starboard side. We can see the Dorade covers and the vents themselves are nice and gleaming. Great looking stainless. Now we see the front side of the mast here. There we have a radar. We have deck light. We have another, looks like another Wi-Fi booster or satellite weather antenna, and our mast steps that go all the way to the top. This boat has actually crossed the Atlantic a couple times and been down to the island several times. So she's definitely fully capable of going for extended offshore passages. And that's how she's been set up, especially with things like the flip-up jerry can holders, the transom arrangement with the electronics and the dinghy system. So it's a very good setup. So here we are in the Salon of Wings. We'll take a quick tour around here. As you can see on the port side, we have a very large wraparound dinette with this pull-out seat here that can be stored away at a moment's notice with also some storage area inside. The table here can drop down to form a bed. You can also take out this center leaf and collapse table into a little bit of a smaller form if desired. Underneath the seating there, we do have some access to electrical and plumbing, as well as storage space. And then there is storage behind here, as well as up top here. Swinging around, we can see that this boat was fitted with the optional two lazy boy chairs. Now these are multi-directional. They can swivel back and forth. They can tilt up and down. We also had the footrest that pop up here in the middle. We've got this little storage area right here. Right now it's got all the ship's papers and manuals inside. And then behind the chairs, we have a few lockers. These are very large lockers that go all the way back to the hull. So a great spot for spare parts and storage. And then we have more lockers up top here. The audio-visual system is built into this cabinet here. So if you want to have a TV installed, it would be in this area typically, or on top of this shelf right here. You can fit yourself a TV that would connect up to the KVH system. Just after the salon on the port side, this is the nav station here. Now this was set up as a complete nav station / office. So we have no pass-through to the aft shower here, which was an option you could have had. Instead, it's a full desk all the way around. We have a nice chair right here. This is an adjustable chair with drop-down armrests and swivels around 360 degrees. On the left side here, we have this extra countertop space that can be used by the galley, or if you're working in the nav station, need more space for a chart or any other equipment. Maybe you're working on some engine stuff. Here's a nice countertop. And then we have this desk back here. This flip up lid. This is a great spot right here to put a laptop. And the front edge here also tilts down, so you have room for a keyboard. We have some extra shelving here. We have this little slot here where you can stick chart books. And above, we have another storage locker here. Typically, people will put things like their binoculars or flares or any kind of safety equipment in this area. Here we have the generator control panel. The generator Northern Lights 9 kilowatt. It was redone. It was replaced, but the original unit was replaced by this unit in 2016. It's got just about 970 hours on it. And then we have our water maker auxiliary control panel right here to monitor the system. Here we have the electrical panel, and up top here we have AC digital gauges, DC digital gauges, and then our DC switches and our AC switches. Everything here is very nicely labeled, as Hylas is very well known for. And we can also take a peek behind here, and we can see the quality of all the wiring is in incredibly good shape. There we go. So we can see here, starts a little bit dark, but we can see everything's nicely labeled. It's all laid out quite well. Everything's tied off together very nicely. So all the wiring here is, as it should be, in very, very good shape. Swinging over to the right, we can see some of the electrical upgrades that were done to the monitoring systems. So we have a set of digital gauges right here. We have the house bank, the engine bank, the thruster bank, and then the solar panel output. We can see that right now. The solar panels are still putting out 12.5 volts. Not bad for a nice cloudy day. And then we have the current battery voltage right here with the Magnum inverter charger control panel. We got a 12-inch B&G chart plotter that's networked to the rest of the system, ICOM VHF. These are the remote battery switches here that control the breakers you are going to see in other parts of the video with the yellow knobs on them. So these switches control those breakers throughout. So like I can turn on the engine bank. You probably heard that click. And then back off again, just like that. And then over here we have a Fusion stereo along with a iPod dock. We have a barometer and a clock. The Twaron modem and a single sideband right there. And then here we have the satellite phone. And then our tank tender, it's a vacuum gauge. It tells us what fluid is in each of the water and fuel tanks. And of course, we have the nav desk right here. And then we have the override control for the engine shutdown system if the fire extinguisher were to go off. And down here under the nav station, we have some other breakers. We can see the engine battery switch right here. Normally, we could set just the engine battery or combine with the house if need be. We have the generator main power. We have a tie switch that can combine the generator with the house bank if need be for emergency starting. We have our alternator disconnect switches right here. We can turn alternators on and off for the two that are on the main engine. And then we have our refrigerator breaker and solar power, KVH, satellite TV, that sort of thing. And then over here, we have our winch breakers right there. And to finish up in the nav station, this is behind the electrical monitoring and navigation electronics. We can see the rest of the wiring right here, all nicely laid out. We can see some of the radio equipment for the AIS system, the solar charge controller, and some more of the wiring trace runs that are accessed through here. You can see the back side of the control panel. We can see the B&G plotter, the HF. And then on the other side here, we have the rest of the entertainment stuff and the single sideband. Okay, so we're up here entering the forward cabin on wings. This is the island berth version. So you could either get the V berth, which was straight across, or you get this island berth. And with the island berth, you had these nice step-ups on the side here, and then you had these storage covers on the port and starboard side. So you actually had more readily available storage space available than the V berth, and it was easier to get around the bed. The V berth was quite large on these boats, and really it took up a lot of unneeded space. unnecessary space, I should say. But with this, you do get a lot of room. I'll zoom out some so it's easier to take a look at there. You can see we have a red footlight down there for nighttime use. We have a couple access hatches on the floorboard there to access things like the depth sounder and storage under these compartments here. We also have storage under the steps, under the bed. On the side here, we have these trays, port and starboard for more storage, cabinetry above, port and starboard. There is a deck hatch above. Right now it's covered by that piece of plywood. It's the Lexan piece. Hasn't yet been installed. Actually, it's arrived. It just hasn't been installed yet. And we have a couple of reading lamps up forward there. We do have one light bulb out. Actually, I am replacing that light bulb. I just took it out before I took the video. So that light bulb is being replaced. Under the bed, you'll see in a minute, we have all the mechanical access with the air conditioner, the water maker, the bow thruster, the bow thruster batteries, and the windlass relays and that sort of thing are all under the forward portion of the bed here. It's also a great spot to store spare parts if you have space for them. We're up here in the forward cabin on wings. We're under the bed. You might see some particles floating around. That's because the boat's all sealed up in the winter. It's kind of just disturbs some of the dust around here a little bit, but as you can see, there's a lot of nice equipment up here, and it's all in great shape. So start up here in the forward side. So there's the relay box for the windlass up forward, the Maxwell windlass. Then right over here, we have a 24-volt 30-amp charger. That's for the battery bank here that goes to the thruster motor. And there's a thruster motor right there. Beneath the flooring here is where the thruster tube is. So you have this nice base pan in order to put equipment. Right here, this pump, this is the water maker pump. This is a 220-volt AC water maker pump. And then that goes over here, and there's the water maker control system right there. There's a remote panel for the controls over on the nav station. But here you can see the gauges, what things are doing. And there's the more of the controls right there, salinity check and that sort of thing. These are the batteries. These are slimline AGM batteries, and they are 1250 cold cranking amps a pop. They're 12 volts a piece, and they're connected here in series, so you get 24 volts. So you get a lot of power for that bow thruster battery. There's a disconnect there for that bow thruster battery as well. That's a remote breaker. So there's a toggle switch on the panel back in the nav station that toggles that breaker on and off. Right back here, I'll scoot forward so my legs are out of the way. You got the membrane here for the water maker along with the filtration pumps. And they're all labeled nicely about what goes where. So like 5 micron, 20 micron, and then you got your fresh water and the other micron filter there. And here's one of the air conditioners. Again, this is a 230 volt AC air conditioner right here. And it's a split unit. So you have a fan unit, which is right here, and then you have the compressor, which is right there. Everything looks good. The compressor tray looks good as well. I don't see any kinds of serious corrosion, which is typical with these over the lifetime, but looks very good. There's also some additional spray and insulation here. The install work up here is all top notch. Everything's done very well. This was definitely not a do-it-yourself installation. Everything appears very, very nice. Okay, continuing our tour here. This is the port cabin just aft the forward cabin on the port side. Here we go. We can see we have a single berth right here, and we have a mirror, a little bit of artwork, couple reading lamps, storage above the bed here, air conditioning vent, fan. We have a couple of port lights along with a large overhead hatch, and we have a Durade vent as well. We have another large storage cubby that's convertible into a hanging locker, storage drawers, more storage drawers, and then a large storage cabinet here where the inverter charger is also mounted. And then this compartment does have a sliding door right here. It's quite easy to close and open, and then hides away inside the bulkhead. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the galley here before we proceed to the aft cabin. So we'll see here, there's a little step down to go into this passageway. On starboard, we've got a nice, deep, double basin sink with a pull-out sprayer and nozzle. Little storage cubbies back in here. On the port side, there's a cutting board. That's typical Hylas trademark. It's just sitting on a lip there, so it's easy to pull out. We just have some drawers. We have a trash can hidden away down here. A multitude of cabinets and drawers up and down. All this great spots for all your pots and pans and cutlery. Lots of room on the countertop for food prep. We have 2 refrigerators here. Now, these have been upgraded. There is a set of compressors under here. They're 12 volt. Replaces the original Gruner seawater cooled system. It's now an air cooled system. You can see here, these are nice and deep, and they're also side loading right there. And then back here, we have the Force 10 3-burner oven and range. And then we have an extra refrigerator back here. This originally came with an ice maker. The ice maker plumbing is still installed, so you could always switch out to that. But they did replace it at some point with this refrigerator. It does have a small freezer area, but this is more of a beverage fridge and that kind of thing. If we turn around to the side here, we can see there's a pantry right there. And if I turn around like this, we can see we do have a GE convection microwave. It's a large unit. It's a pretty deep system, so we can cook food here. And we also cook food on the stove and oven. And then you can also see some of the access hatches here to the engine and mechanical area. This is the aft cabin. This is a very large cabin, especially for a boat of this size and for this kind of a setup with this performance hull on it. It's very beamy. And you have a great amount of headroom in here. We do have a full queen berth with this custom-made spring mattress, so you can fold it in half. It also has built-in leak cloth, and it also has attachments to keep it firmly mounted down to the base of the bed there, so it won't go anywhere. We have some storage drawers there. And then coming inside, we have a large hanging locker. Some more shelving and storage here. We have more storage under the floorboards. These all come up. Large countertop here that goes all the way around, bookshelves. And then on this side, it's duplicated, another hanging locker, more storage. And then on the front side here, we have a large bureau for hanging locker space. And then this is the ensuite head. Here we have a vacuum flush toilet. We have a large countertop with mirrors, more storage behind the mirrors. And then going into here, we have the shower area with its own seal-out door. And then we have the washer-dryer unit behind this door right here. And on this side over here, we have this door accesses the mechanical space where the water heater is located. This is under the salon settee on the port side aft, right in front of the nav station. And here we can see we have our 2 freshwater pumps. Hylas has 2 pumps for their freshwater board, and this is because redundancy. You always want to have a way of getting freshwater out of your tanks. So one pump is controlled from the main panel. The other pump is controlled from a switch in the engine compartment. So there's 2 completely electrical systems and wiring for each pump. You have pump 1, pump 2. One's a diaphragm pump. One is a actually they're both diaphragm pumps, I'm sorry, but one's a different type than the other. This one's a belt driven type, and this one's its own self-contained motor. And we also have the generator battery. It's a lead acid 1000 cranking amp battery right here with its own independent switching and wiring setup right there. And we also have some spare parts, and then we have access right here to a little bit of wiring here behind the nav station. We have a autopilot computer and some associated other storage. And then moving a little bit up forward here, we can see we have the air conditioning fan unit for the salon. The compressor is on the forward end of the port side bed underneath. And then we have the battery charger right here for the 12 volt battery bank. Now this is a Mastervolt. It's a 100 amp 3-bank charger. 12 volt capacity. And then under here, we have all the associated wiring. We have instrumentation for the gauges. You can see all the wiring is very nicely labeled and well done. Now, this is all done fairly recently in the past couple of years. This is all aftermarket stuff. This is not original. So a lot of the wiring on the boat has been upgraded over the years, and it's much more capable and carries a lot more power than the original stuff Hylas installed. We can see here we've got some of the hatches open on the floor of the forward passageway and in the cabin stall. So first things first is we're going to look up forward here. This is the house battery bank. We have 5 slimline AGM batteries tied together in parallel here. These are about 181 amp hours a piece, I do believe. That's over 900 amp hours of house bank capacity right here in this bank. The nice thing about these batteries is they're a lot smaller than the traditional 8Ds you see out there, so they're much easier to replace over time. These batteries were new in 2016 when the electrical system upgrade was done. Continuing back here, this is under the cabin sole. This is the engine start battery. This is a Lifeline AGM 8D battery. This is somewhere around, I believe, 250 amp hours or so, 8D AGM battery. And it has its own remote switch that's controlled from the nav station, as well as a manual override if the remote switch for some reason takes a dump. We also have the gray water tank here for the sink and the overboard dump pump. And there's a spare pump as well that's zip tied right here, ready to be installed if the primary fails. You can see back here, part of the bilge. And then we turn around, and this is the bottom, the companionway steps. This is the sump right here at the bottom. You can see we had the bilge pumps. There are 3 pumps, 2 electric and 1 manual pump for the bilge. And then we had this electric pump right here. This is for the air conditioning. And there's the air conditioning manifold for the 3 air conditioners. As well, we have the strainer there for the engine and some of the other pump strainers here. And you can also see the keel bolts. The keel bolts are all in excellent condition, as they should be. They're all stainless steel with a lead keel, so no corrosion issues there. And they sit nice and dry out of the sump. There's a little bit of standing water back here because of the way the boat is blocked. It's on the hard right now, so there's a little bit stern low. So we have a little bit of standing water there, but normally this will all drain straight into the sump and then be pumped over the side. And then back in here, this is under the engine, and the engine sits above it in a pan, so no fluids get into the bilge if there is a leak. Well, here we're going to take a quick tour of the mechanical space under the galley sink and continuing a little bit further after the generator is. So by opening this large door right here, this swings out of the way, and there is the engine. Now, normally, if you're looking at a lot of Hylas 54s, you'll see that the fuel filter system is right here, because it's close to the field manifold. Well, actually, it's been moved. It's back down there now. And that is a very nice system. That is a Keenan filters system that allows you to change which filter is the engine drawing from with the flip of a switch. It's an electrical filter switch. And actually, that control is right here. I can actually quick power on here. You hear that alarm test right there. That tells you if there's any kind of a vacuum in the system. So instead of the engine, maybe clogging down or something else like that, this system will tell you if there is an issue with the filter. It can also connect up to a smartphone via a cell tower if you had that functionality. So you can even monitor the boat while you're off of it if need be. And you can easily switch filters right there. That's a very nice system. It's much more robust and has a lot more functionality than the Raycore system. So if you have a Hylas right now, definitely think about upgrading to that. It's pretty cool once I was reading up on it. This control panel right here, this is a mechanical start-stop switch for the engine. So if your panel up top goes out, or if you wanted to start and stop from down here when you're doing work on the engine, you can. And then that is the secondary water pump breaker right there for the backup freshwater pump. We have an AC outlet and we have a 12-volt outlet. So great to plug in equipment when you're having to do some engine work. This is the pressure tank here for the freshwater system. As you can see, it's quite big, so you don't have to have the pumps cycling back and forth, which is nice. We have here, this is the backside of the manual bilge pump.
Is there something else I can help with?
Which is right there. And that was my Apple Watch. Just went off Siri to start talking for a second. The manual bilge pump is down here because if you're going to be calling for help, normally you'll be sitting in this chair with one hand on the radio and one hand on the pump. So just in case you have water in the bilge. So So that's why the pump is down here in the engine bay. Now looking at the engine has just about 6,500 hours on it. And you couldn't really tell by looking at it. The engine's been very well maintained by Bayshore Marine. We can see we have some new heater hoses here that are going to the water heater and with shutoffs. We can see the belt looks to be in nice shape. The hoses, if they were original Yanmar, they would be painted silver. Well, they're not. These hoses have been replaced. You can see a lot of the hoses actually have been replaced on the engine. We've got a newer looking secondary filter right there. There's the oil filter down over there. And we've got the engine alternator for the engine battery. And then we have this 270 amp big boy for the house bank. And it's on a nice adjustable linkage right here, so you can keep the belt tension good on it. Over here, we have the water tank manifold. And there's the little label that tells you which tank is going to where. There's also a port here. You can see that is empty right now. This allows you to pump in antifreeze or do whatever you want with it. Really, you could even hook a hose up to it and do an engine room washdown. So that's a nice little feature that was added. Here we are is one of the bilge pumps right there. That's the diaphragm pump. That's the primary. That's the pump that gets as low as possible. There is another pump. It's a Rule plastic one, which you see in a lot of boats, but those don't suck down very far. So that's your backup. And then, of course, there's going to be a high water alarm, and then you get your manual I just showed you there a moment ago. On this side, this looks like something out of an engineer's workbook, but this is actually the fuel system right here with this diagram back there that tells you where it's coming from. So these are all your feeds and your returns for the 5 tanks aboard. And of course, you have your generator and your engine system as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. Now, you'll see as well down here that this Keenan system actually has a built-in electric fuel pump. So you can do you can do fuel transfers while polishing, or you can also send pressurized fuel into the engine if the fuel pump on the engine may have had an issue. So what you would want to normally do, what auto Hylas owners do with this fuel system is they're going to have one tank. It's probably going to be the closest tank to the engine. That's going to be your day tank. And that's what everything's going to feed off of normally. And then you'll fill fuel into your other 4 tanks on the boat, but you'll want to transfer fuel to that day tank as you burn through that day tank allotment. That allows you to polish the fuel before it goes into the engine. It also allows you to give it a secondary filtering after putting fuel into the tank because you never know what's in the fuel when you take it out of a fuel dock or a jerry can or that kind of thing. So if you do that using the method I just described, you're guaranteed to always be giving the engine nice, clean fuel and will guarantee a very long life, which is what the sellers here have done with this engine. That's why she looks so good. That's why she's been maintained so well, because we're doing a stand-up job with it. You'll see back there that white filter. That's the fuel filter for the generator. And then back there, you'll see the generator sound enclosure. All right, now we're behind the engine. There are access panels in this engine bay on pretty much all sides. You can get to the engine on the port side next to the nav station there. On the starboard side, there's doors in front of me. And there's another big door here right across from the stove and the galley, which gets you access to the generator. And a little bit behind the engine. So there you can see the transmission and you can see the shaft seal. The shaft seal is newer. That's been replaced recently, as well as the engine mounts. You can see here that they're in very good condition, actually. You can see there the rubber's in nice shape and the stainless bolts all look good. The transmission itself looks nice. The coolers there all look good. Typical little bit of corrosion on the turbo because the turbo typically runs very hot. So you're going to get the paint there is going to burn off quicker than the rest of the engine. And then you have the exhaust elbow right there, which looks like it's in nice shape as well. So and generally, everything in here is looking quite nice and well maintained. All the engine insulation for the sound deadening is all firmly attached to the overhead, and the surround is not drooping down like I've seen on some boats. We've got newer hoses. We can see over here the water heater, and there's the autopilot pump right there, and that's access to the big door. You can see it right there. Actually, it's access through the aft shower, so you can get to the water heater for service and replacement. And there's the fire bottle. for fire suppression if that ever were to occur. Hopefully not. It's never occurred here, but it's good to have it just in case. Thanks for tuning in on this walkthrough tour of this 2003 Hylas 54. Wings is asking $499,000. She's located in Annapolis, Maryland. If you'd like more information, please contact me. My name is Erik Haaland with David Walters Yachts. My email is Erik, E-R-I-K, at davidwaltersyachts.com. And my phone is 410-279-3027.